I clearly did not think through my choice of outfit.
It does not go at all. I started watching Game of Thrones, I think, last summer. I watched the first season before I came to England, and then I didn't actually start really getting into it, like starting from the second season and obsessing until January or February, I think, this year. So I guess I'm fairly new. But I knew it was one of those things, if I started another show, I was gonna get involved and then I wouldn't be able to stop and then it would be distracting, so I kind of put it off for a while. But I mean, let's face it, you guys know I love fantasy. So when there's a huge new fantasy series out and everybody's raving about it, I mean, I'm gonna watch it. When I watched the first season, I just instantly fell in love with the complexity. And I mean, I don't think any human being alive, except George R.R. Martin, the writer of the books, I don't think anyone can possibly keep track. There are way too many characters. I mean, you need like kind of like a character bible to keep by you as you're watching the shows, just to remember who everybody is. The plots are intense and so unexpected and twisty, and I've watched a lot of TV. You guys know I like it. I've read a lot of books, of course. I'm a bookaholic. But I still, the plots are just not at all predictable. And absolutely nobody is safe. I mean, I know probably as you're watching this, if you are a Game of Thrones watcher, you're probably thinking the entire time she's talking about the deaths of the characters, and that is obviously a huge part of it. I mean, you grow attached to a character, and in any other average safe TV show, that person is going to stay alive from the first episode to the end of the episode, or to the end of the series, or to the end of the season. I mean, that's just normal. That's how TV works. That's how stories work. No, not Game of Thrones. If you really like somebody, that, if anything, probably just increases their chance of death. Of course, evil people die too, so I mean, really, you just don't know what's going to happen. And that element of realism amongst all the fantasy elements, that's another thing that makes it so cool. It's more realistic than half the reality shows you see on TV. And by half the reality shows, I mean all the reality shows. Which is great considering, you know, I'm a fantasy lover. I've heard a lot of people argue against fantasy that it's just too unrealistic, you can't connect with it, and yet it's way bolder than the majority of TV shows. And of course, let's not discredit the books that it came from, you know, the original starting point of the entire story. And it's much more realistic than even a lot of literature. And the characters are so rich and well written and well acted. You really just constantly want to re-immerse yourself in the world. Like when an episode's over, where's the next one? And yet, despite all of this wonderful stuff about the show, I mean, it's disgusting. This is where the other end of the love-hate relationship comes in. I don't typically watch shows with this much excessiveness, to put it that way. Yeah, it's got every kind of disgusting that there can be. I mean, you've got dirty, disgusting, grimy, unwashed people who do disgusting things. That's probably the nicest way I could have put that. Clothes are optional, and there's a lot of violence and gore. I mean, the amount is shocking, at least for me. I know there are a lot of other movies, TV shows, books, and stuff that do push these boundaries and that are just as violent and gory as that, but I don't typically watch/read them. I mean, it's disgusting. It's unnecessarily disgusting, and that's actually probably where it gets the least realistic, because I know the point of excessive violence a lot of times is because it's gritty and it's real, but it just starts looking fake. But it still disgusts me because this is me and I'm very, very easily grossed out. So yeah, there's that element of the show which I'm slightly less of a fan of. And yet, even though I can't even watch all the battle scenes half the time, I'm still obsessed with the show. I can't stop watching it. I always want the next episode. It doesn't matter what kind of mood I'm in, and sometimes I'll start the episode and I realize probably wasn't a good idea. I might throw up. But I keep watching because I can't stop. So if that's any testimony to the quality of every other element of the show, then that's quite something, I think. Before you ask about the books, I know a lot of you guys love books like I do, and you're gonna be wondering, have you read them? I read the first before I watched the first season because I had it in my head, I'm gonna read the books before I watch the show because that's where they came. Those came first. I like to start with the first, and then it just got to be unrealistic with the load of books that I had to read for class. So I've read the first, and now I've just watched the show. So please don't disown me. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Game of Thrones, and if you are watching it or if you're gonna watch it, please try to avoid spoilers. But let me know what you think and tell me a little bit about your relationship with Game of Thrones. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Yeah, the pink and the hearts, it's just not Game of Thrones appropriate at all.